Today, we're going to talk about how I got my first job and how porn, cannabis, and my career all intersected. I'm going to keep this as PG as possible, but also just share some of the lessons I I learned along the way, and hopefully, uh, you'll kind of understand really like how my first job set me up for success. So let's get started. Many don't know, but early in high school, I was learning how to program, and more specifically, program web development. So, just your typical stack, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP. And I competed in Skills USA. And through Skills USA, I went on to win the state competition, and then went to Kansas City, Missouri with my partner. And we placed second in Skills USA's national web development competition. Super disappointing, second place, lost by a few points. Whole nother video. But point is, I got scholarships and I was able to go to school in San Francisco. And when I went to school in San Francisco, as you know, San Francisco is an expensive place, and I had money for school and like minimum things, but I didn't have money for really anything else. And so at 18 years old, I wanted a job. I wanted a job, and not just a job anywhere. If I could get a job in my field in software engineering that really was leveraging my skills, I knew that it would propel me forward, right? It's not just having an internship where you're given like these basic things, but a job where I can say, like, I'm actually getting industry experience today. And if you think about that, people graduate college maybe with an internship here and there, and now they're starting. For me, if I could get a job at 18, that puts me 4 years ahead of everyone else, right? So that's what I was out to do. It was extremely difficult. Um, Obviously, people don't want to hire someone who's 18 years old and their only experience is like, I was competing, uh, you know, at a high level uh, at an industry level like competition, right? Like that just doesn't tell the best story. So I had to apply to jobs everywhere. All the places that you think of today, like some of them back then could have been like Monster. I also applied to jobs on Craigslist. I was looking for anyone who was willing to give me industry experience, and I would be even willing to take low pay. I grew up in Carson City, Nevada, so low pay was like $8 an hour, which crazy to think about, but like that's what like I would have been happy with that because it would be industry experience. So one day I'm in downtown San Francisco Civic Center, and there's this dispensary called Spark. And this dispensary, again, this is a different time. You also were able to smoke in the dispensary. And I was going to like many dispensaries at the time because this is like the peak of cannabis culture, like where things were really, really taking off. And I saw that there was opportunity. I was going to these dispensaries really trying to pitch myself. And I would ask to see the manager, and I'd go to the manager and say, hey, I'm looking to get into this industry. I'm going to school for this. I've competed in web development, and you need a web presence, right? People shouldn't have to come into your dispensary to find out what's on the menu, right? They should be able to place orders online. Um, Obviously, I was probably a little bit ahead of my time, but also just, I'm a kid trying to pitch this, and I was just getting shut down left and right. But I saw there was still an opportunity. And so I'm at Spark and I'm asking to see the manager. And sure enough, he's like, no, no, no. We have people. We don't need you. They didn't have people. It was like years until they actually got a web presence. It's neither here nor there. So I purchased my weed and I go to sit down at the tables where I was going to smoke. And I'm a little down, right? Like, whatever, shut down again. Um, but as I'm getting prepared to, partake, this gentleman across from me, suited and booted, and he says to me, "It's hard when you're on the outside trying to get in. Tell me about yourself." Okay. Sure. So I give him my elevator pitch, explain to him my experience, like why I'm trying to really get into this market. I see there's a need, a fit, and I'm just willing to like just really get experience. And he gave me his business card and said, "Justin, if you ever want a job, call me." So I look at this business card, and the company is called GameLink. Now, I don't think much of it. I'm like, gaming company. That's cool. Put it in my pocket. Uh, I smoke weed, move on with my day. That night, I pull out this card again and I go online to gamelink.com. I find out that this is not a gaming company, but this is a porn company. I'm 18 years old, and yeah, working at a porn company sounded pretty cool. But like beyond that, like porn companies have high traffic, low latency, and have high uptime. So believe it or not, like these companies have really good tech. So I call them up and I express interest. And I think like sometimes like that's how things are, right? Like I'm getting rejected nonstop, and me putting myself out there, someone else saw that. Someone else overheard that. Someone saw me like really like in a place getting shut down, and it got me that opportunity. Now, what did it look like? So, one, I interviewed and process was pretty quick. And I find myself 18 years old working at this porn company in downtown San Francisco. Very wild, like some crazy things. Like in the bathrooms, there was porn magazines. Why? Because like you're at a porn company, right? Like I don't know, magazines in bathroom. Well, porn magazines in the bathroom. I liked that you were able to get massages while at work. Like once a week, someone would come in, and it's basically like it was like $5 like for every half hour or something. Not happy ending massages, just massages. But like there was like just cool tech perks that you get. Breakfast, snacks, and bagels, and all those good things. Um, but what was really unique was because they had such high volume, low latency, like load times were an interesting thing. And this was at a time where, you know, I would say like a lot of their infrastructure was old on on the client side. And so I was able to bring a lot of the new things, right? This is when responsive web design was really being popularized, when CSS3 animations, drop shadows, rounded corners, like all the things that we used to do like the old way with like um image files, sprites, repeating like a 1 pixel image to make drop shadows, like all of that stuff I was able to bring to their application and immediately start to see improvements in load times, improvements into like overall experience and rendering performance. So like there was really cool things I was really able to do that I don't think others would have gotten that same opportunity. Now, again, it was a a very unique time, and at that age, working at that like sounded super cool. Now, I mentioned earlier living in San Francisco, and so money was an important thing. Uh, I continued to interview. Right, one of the most important things to do is to always stay in the market. You know, you want to interview every now and then so you know what's expected of you. And so I'm very thankful for my time there, but I was actually able to transition to a more uh, stable, role, as well as just a role that aligned more with my values, especially now, right? But I was able to go work at the California State Parks Foundation. Uh, Thankfully, they paid more. And, you know, growing up in like the Reno Tahoe area, spending time in like state parks and nature, like that just really resonated and aligned with me. So I was able to step away and go into that role. But again, like the experience I got at GameLink, the impact I was making just on their application, um, that's kind of like just so unique and something that you just wouldn't really get in other places. So, you know, I'm very thankful. Now, if I were to look back on some of the things and like just like those lessons, like again, my opportunity was hidden in a rejection. So if I didn't put myself out there, if I didn't get rejected in front of someone else, that opportunity may have never presented itself. Um, it was an unconventional job. If I had talked to my girlfriend at the time, which I probably should have, I would have easily been like swayed away from that role. Um, but I took it, and I'm so thankful because, like I said, it like set me up for success for the next thing to come, right? The first job is not your last job. So I think that was really unique. I was also able to see what scale looked like really early on, and I was able to get into the market as soon as possible. And I think at that time I was actually doing design and development. So I wasn't just doing like front end development, but I was also like designing ads and those types of things. And I realized quickly that like that's not what I like to do as much. And so until you try something, you don't really know if you're gonna like it. And one role at a certain company is gonna look different than another company. So I'm very happy that I was able to like go in and really like learn different things and try different things. And then lastly, if if I were to like just sum up all of it, it would be like putting yourself out there. And putting yourself out there is not just applying for jobs online. Like applying for a job on LinkedIn or Well Found or Welcome to the Jungle, back then Craigslist, Monster, those types of things. That is the easiest thing to do. But when you put yourself out there, when other people know what you are looking for, they can actually help you. And that is like the biggest takeaway is I actually was putting myself out there. I was like, you know, boots on the ground, um, really trying to get a job, and not even just get a job working for someone, but like positioning myself to like, hey, like I see a market, I see there's an opportunity. Let me help get your dispensary online. Let me build an app for you. Let me do whatever it takes. Because I was willing to carve out a new market just so I could pay my bills and like start to get experience. And so I think that tenacity, that grit, that proactiveness is something that I want to see in anyone who is looking to get their first job today. And there is a lot of opportunity out there. There's a lot of people who are going to take a chance on you. And it starts with you betting on yourself. So I hope you enjoyed this story. And like I said, I don't share it all too much, but it was super instrumental in the early parts of my career, and I'm super thankful to this day for that opportunity. So, if you like stories like this, I'll share more about the different things that happened in my career and all the pivotal moments along the way. Thanks.